Alright, sorry for the hold up, guys. This is Gino Squid here, and welcome to the stream, gentlemen. Sorry for the delay in schedule. I needed to take a bit of a rest before I got started. But anyways, sorry for the wait. I'm back, I'm up, and I'm ready. Hey, a brick. You know, usually I start at 7, but I'd say you're right on time. Well, I should explain that off camera. I went and did Mirror Dungeon on hard for the first time. It definitely took me a while, but I finished. I was able to wrap it up. And I got a nice stack of Ego Shard crates. Yep. So there's that. But anyways, sorry for the long wait. Intervallo 5 LCB regular checkup. Business as usual.
다들 연장 챙기죠.
만국된 직선을 직선으로 질주하겠소.
I look from beyond the glass window as the sinners battle furiously inside the large indoor arena. You damned imbeciles! What's the point of everyone rushing at the same enemy that's already staggered and nearly dead? I tried to send you a friend request, but your code does not work for some reason. I'll check it out, if possible. I think I might have gotten the character mixed up, or maybe it's on your end. Anyways, Faust had attacked that entity first. The blame lies flatly with the other's delayed decisions. Apologies, yet concerned was I that to not dispose swiftly of that foe would. I think this is a great show of teamwork. I had no idea how hopeless the sinners were in battle without my command. Damn it, why won't any of you listen to my orders? Boy, your genius order was how the lass's head ended up dangling from 1/4 of a neck. Ahem. It was a necessary it was a necessary sacrifice to gain an engine battle. Were it not? How befitting of a hero it is to perish in place of a compatriot! Don Quixote falls before the merciless onslaught of enemies. I had so many things I wanted to say to them, most of which were variations of "you're doing it wrong," but I had no choice but to watch as their woefully abysmal decisions continued to bungle the fight. If I tried, this researcher next to me will get in my way, claiming that they hadn't finished collecting the data. This one's reaction speed to emergencies is exceptionally fast. So, can I help them now? Will you stop pacing and compose yourself? We are almost done here. That should be more than enough data. Take control, manager. I had a lot I wanted to say, but let's help the sinners out of this bind first. Intervallo is a bit hard, huh? Alright. Nothing I haven't seen before. Okay, let's see. OU Association theme. This is all burn with resonances and their own sin. Oh shit. Give me a second. Gotta move this to the side a bit. There we go.
명령에 따르겠습니다. 목을 떨궈주마. 고작 이 정도 탕류의 허덕이나.
이 거리는 충분해. 너한텐 조금 멀겠지만.
하나 넘고 둘 넘고 거꾸로 제쳐라.
Faust, come on, come on. Walk in, walk in! Bring home the bacon. Oh damn, half the team staggered.
받아볼 텐가.
My worst nightmare, envy
고작 이
Pekatuum.
정도 탕류의 허덕이나. 마음 놓고 열어젖히고. 전탄격발.
빈틈투성이네.
Capote, huh? Interesting. Interesting indeed.
목을 콱 물어버리자고.
12수에게 명한다. 이 앞에 숨쉬는 자 누구 하나 살려보내지 마라.
Oh damn, so they can use an ego. That was some pretty significant damage though.
배수의 진. 일기당천.
Alright. That's a good start.
화력, 추진. 기차 동정은 필요 없겠죠.
And there goes distortion. Mm-hmm.
일기당천. 이 몸을 온당히 벌하시네.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. They can get Pekatuum can get pretty annoying in MD.
빈틈투성이네.
모험하군.
Two staggers. Not good enough, though. And there we have it. That went well. As expected of our executive manager, the exceptional development of your strategic genius reminds me of the earlier years of my career. Uh-huh. Thanks. Phew. Got anything to snack on, guys? I'm starving here after that brawl. You will maintain an empty stomach for the duration of the tests. Next on the docket is... I would have asked Marcel for a massage if I knew this was coming. Whose idea was this anyway? Well, if you really wanted to get to it, we can trace this right back to your vacation request, Gregor. Not that this wouldn't have happened without that yet, but yeah. Oh, come on, fellas, there's gotta be more to it than that. Sure there was, not that it would have made any difference. Because like Ishmael said, this all began with Gregor's particularly egregious stretching.
저번에 약속한 거 안 잊었지, 죽은? 그 외에 임무를 성공적으로 100번만 수행하면
Next up, regular health checkup.
설마 소유권...
Wow, that sound just now. I didn't know a human body could make a sound like that. Oh, I was just doing some stretches. Can't seem to do them without making these noises nowadays. Huh? What do you mean you can't? That right there is the creaking sound of time savages sink. Oh, I know Dante's been turning the clock to rewind our time, but I feel like my joints are starting to grate. I know what you mean. I definitely don't feel as spry as I used to. Maybe the pain from repeatedly dying and reviving takes a toll after all. Yeah, dying sure is a pain. That's when Hongwoo flippantly threw out an innocent comment amidst the complaining sinners. Speaking of which, isn't it funny how Don Quixote is totally fine even though she's hundreds of years old? She's got to be the oldest of us by a lot, right? Ahem. Hongwoo's unprompted catapulting of such a heavy subject brought the busy air inside the bus to a sudden, stifling halt. I thought we were gonna take some time to actually broach that subject, but you just bulldozed through the whole mess, huh? I must have made things awkward. I didn't realize everyone was so sensitive about their age. Whatever you do about women, you do not ask them their age. It's not that simple. Never ask a woman her age, a man their salary, and the third option is up to you. I backed again. Oh, hi, Monochrome. Nice seeing you here. That's, this not to concern thyself with. Be not so... Of course, there was also someone who could not care less about the bus's air quality. Oi, Scoot! That's my designated seat you're punting your ass in. I'll whack ya. On the other hand, here's this guy without a care in the world. Almost makes me wonder if he even remembers what just happened. Well, maybe this is your chance to get back at him for treating you harshly. Don Quixote, I'm sure you can... Sink, I've never seen your eyes sparkle like that before. I am quite fond of the current temperament of our company. Unless young Heathcliff here suddenly morphs into a villain and a scoundrel, I have nary a wish to exact violence upon him and... Right, now that that's over with, let's all shut up and keep the chinwag to a minimum, yeah? Seems plenty villainously dickish to me. Anyways, am I the only one thinking that it's about time we got the thing? The thing? Well, you know, the thing that we tried a while ago, but didn't get to enjoy due to some unforeseen issues. That match, not that. Don't you remember? We even played volleyball by that big body of water. Contextual clues suggest that he is making a request for a vacation. Yep, absolutely, yep. Let's all go to a spa or something. Relax. Get massages to loosen up our muscles some. Please. You still have expectations for our employers? Aha! I recall that young Mersault had given quite the exquisite massage, had he not? I have an astute knowledge of the major muscle groups and nerve structures of the human body. For many weeks following that massage, my body was deprived of any sensory stimulation. Thus understood it was the philosophy of Mersault's physical therapy that the most infallible methodology of convalescence from pain is to remove any and all stimulation, including that of pain. It seems that the time is here. For Julius? Yes, I knew that this day would eventually come. The day's here. Why is everyone acting so serious all of a sudden? Rodion's observation is correct. While turning the clock does indeed turn the time, a certain degree of exacerbating fatigue cannot be alleviated. This necessitates that we employ a certain measure to verify the status of each sinner. What could it possibly be that it needs this much build-up? In other words, it is time for Limbus Company's GULP dramatic gulping noise. Regular checkup. Regular checkup? We did get a call from the higher-ups a while ago requesting that we send in the sinners for a regular checkup. Regular checkup. Of course. But it was repeatedly delayed due to several limiting circumstances on our end. They've been obnoxiously hounding us for quite some time. I was starting to get tired of explaining our absence. Checkup? What checkup? Don't be so on edge, Heathcliff. Such proceedings are regular occurrences at most corporations. I've never personally experienced it myself, but sounds like they're just checking to see how we're doing health-wise. I would turn around, getting ready to say, "Right, Ishmael?" Only to come face to face with Ishmael's shocked expression frozen onto her face. I have never seen a woman dread a medical checkup so much. I feared needles when I was younger, then I got used to the pain a long time ago. And here's this sea woman afraid of a trip to the doctor. Well, this is unexpected. I thought Ishmael, with her worldly experiences, would leap onto this opportunity to lecture us all about how things worked outside Limbus Company. Regular checkups are... Oh, you're gearing up to explain what it is. Cool, yo. You got 30 seconds to wrap it up. Ready, set, go! No, not the regular checkup. Miss Ishmael's expression seems to suggest otherwise, Miss Roja. I did hear that some fixer offices or associations employ varying methodologies when it comes to regular checkups, depending on their characteristics. Locked up until there's only one left standing. Locked with the blood of my colleagues, the only way to escape. What kind of checkup did she have to go through? Ishmael wasn't the only one responding with a pale-faced, abject horror at the suggestion. Do you even understand what kind of regular checkup you're getting into? I'm asking if you're prepared to go through the regular checkup, no matter what happens in the process. Are you prepared to endure through everything that... What's wrong with this book now? It's looking all pale. I don't understand why everyone's making such a big deal out of this. I don't think it's that bad. I think we used to have annual health checkups back in school too. What kind of checkups? They'd put us all in the same room, measuring heights, weights, running some basic fitness tests. Wherefore do they seek the measures of such characteristics? Must you really ask? A full knowledge and analysis of each soldier's status is indispensable intelligence for officers to have on hand. What soldiers? I was talking about my school. Right, so that doesn't explain shite about why you need to know that, does it? I'm sorry, what the fuck am I reading? Huh? Why'd they find it necessary to spray people with those stinking chemicals just to see if someone's got ice in their clothes? He must have gone through his share of rough checkups too as a kid, I guess. You all keep asking questions with the most obvious answers. In fact, I've been wondering when they test us. Otis confidently marched up to the front of the other sinners with an assertive grin, as though she'd been waiting for this very moment. The true purpose of this checkup must be... Oh, you poor oblivious fool! To elect the true authority amongst us! Oh yeah, I saw the teaser, Brick. I am curious as to what this might show, but I don't know. I gotta save my stuff for the next roll-in, or rather, the next Walpurgis. I'm saving my lunacy for that. But anyways, but by your parlance, true authority, could it be that you are questioning whom among us is our leader? But I'm standing right here. I humbly request that you avoid plaguing yourself with any unnecessary misunderstandings about my suggestion, Executive Manager. Of course, I must preface this with the declaration that there cannot be an iota of doubt towards Executive Manager Dante's authority. Okay. But was this not always a topic of great contention among us, that which of us is most fit to command this squad of sinners? Isn't it Ishmael or maybe Faust? That's what I thought too. This lack of cohesion is precisely why we always fail to face our enemies as a team. Always scrambling, always underprepared, always taken by surprise. You must always be ready to drop to the ground and give 500 push-ups whenever your superior commands you to do so. Always maintain the willingness to sacrifice your well-being and life for the sake of the glorious victory of your allies. It's all missing. Where is your readiness for self-sacrifice? No one's arguing with you, Otis. Who are you even talking to? So, to summarize, the regular checkup entails putting us all in a small room and making us fight to the last sinner standing. Silence fell upon us at Hongwoo's succinct summary. Battle Royale. I've been looking forward to this. Fuck it. I'll give you what... Fuck it. I'll give you what one hell of a fight. My fists used to be bloody infamous in the back streets. Fine. So that's how we're doing this, huh? I'm ready to roll. Guys, this isn't... Okay, so where are we off to? The battle royal... the regular checkup takes place at... The sinners seem to be under some serious misunderstanding about what the regular checkup entailed, but Faust had obviously won't given up on correcting them. The headquarters you speak of must be the headquarters of Limbus Company? Yes. Ooh, we're finally getting to visit the headquarters, huh? A whole year after they hired us. We should be right on time upon immediate departure. This is thou sayest? Yet mine heart is fain prepared. Thee allow us some time to prepare our travel provisions. Where's this HQ anyway? Hopefully it's not too far from here. That is a secret. However, I would like to inform you that it exists in a location inaccessible via Mephistopheles. Oh, come on. How are we supposed to get there if you're not even going to tell us where it is? Inaccessible via Mephistopheles. You're not about to suggest that we board the warp trains again, are you? Phew, I shan't ever board the warp trains again. Indeed, we will not be boarding a warp train for this journey. So are we taking the back doors or something? Yeah, good point. Let's take them doors instead. A sound suggestion. However, in lieu of sufficient information regarding each door, the destination may hold an element of randomness. Or, due to the variable nature of its activation period, the resultant destination may not reflect our intended end coordinates. Or, an unexpected closure mid-passage through the frame may behoove us to bid the company our last farewells and embark on an untimely journey of no return. Are you sure this is a sound suggestion? Then I'd rather take that buddy train instead. At least we won't remember what happened once it's over and done with. Battle Royale. So, further research was necessary to ensure safe transportation to the intended destinations. Further research? Are you implying that you made modifications to the back door? A close assessment. However, it would be more accurate to say that the back door was merely used as a reference. How did you even make the time for research? Weren't you doing everything with us the whole time? LCA and Faust established multiple communications with a certain new wing aspirant company during the spare hours between our targets to garner multiple cooperation efforts regarding the stabilization of the back door. A new wing? Are they looking to take over L Corp's vacancy or something? Quite sharp, Quicker, but the direction of your intuition could be improved. It is the company seeking to seize the imminent vacancy of the ever-declining W Corp. W Corp. Is that so? Yeah, that makes sense. Stories of W Corp's decline have been spreading more and more as of late, and I'm not surprised that some companies would consider this to be an opportunity. Newspapers also featured op-eds regarding a possible management crisis at W Corp, with many of them discussing the mysterious disappearances as well. I see, so they've been furtively planning and preparing to take over W Corp's position as a wing. But to supply the wing even before it falls on its own? Now that's certainly peculiar. He must have something, a scheme perhaps, in the works, and to ally with such ambitious parties is the headquarters looking to start a war of the wings? At this moment, am not privy to such details. Miss Otis, we needn't make predictions in such rashness. Recall that W Corp has been mired in troubles both internal and external, having fallen to such desperation as to seek the assistance of our company. It is no wild presumption to predict that it shall crumble ere the advent of such a violent pandemonium. For indeed, inefficiency is the bane of technology that brings ruination to those that fail to overcome it. Our research efforts, however, were quite efficient and successful. Its mechanisms are similar to that of the back door, but it eliminates the corridor, instead establishing a direct communication from one door to another. A portal, if you will. Oh, so you resolved all the aforementioned side effects then? Not quite. Similar difficulties to the aforementioned cases were observed. Sometimes the accuracy of the target destination coordinates were lacking, or in other cases the activation period would be cut short, causing the door to shut permanently and amputate the subject as they were traversing between doors. There has been much progress in the stabilization efforts, however, minimalizing bend-dissection incidents. Most recent incidents have been limited to bisection. So from 5, from being cut 5 times, they lowered it to 2 times. What the what? Bisection certainly is an improvement over pentasection. They both sound equally awful to me. I would not behold mine own left and right shoes so cruelly sundered, or to be so far apart upon our coming to the headquarters. Well. All this idle chatter of unnecessary concerns tells me that your bus life may have been too uneventful lately. Ahem. Looks like the research arrived while you were wasting time. I saw a large and unfamiliar vehicle through the window. Is that the vehicle? It's got no windows though. How tiresome. Now, off the bus. Okay, 40 for every stop. Once we disembarked the bus, we made our way into this unfamiliar vehicle of sorts. Its interior was mostly metallic, filled to the brim with convoluting-looking machines, and on the opposite end of the entrance, a massive door loomed over us. This is assistance from P Corp in the process of developing this device was indispensable. Wait, that means in cohorts with young Chisara, are you? Hoy day! Much did I aspire to regale her with the tale of the contract's glorious completion, of mine heroism and bravery. 'Tis quite unfair of thee to meet her all by thy lonesome, young Faust. Your concerns will be taken into account next time. Faust seemed relieved. Oh, worry thee not, for thou hast availed us of the sites of the Limbus company headquarters. I did not been thatted for. There are numerous reasons for which you were yet to be allowed into the headquarters, but as it would be a fruitless effort to explicate them all, we will not cover that subject here. Phew, glad to hear we're not just sitting through another lecture. The primary reason is, however, that there were several limitations to bringing the members of our department to the headquarters brought upon by frequent transnest movements and irregular scheduling of our missions. Why just say all that if you were gonna explain it anyway? Wait, more importantly, what's that about collaborating with P Corp? Boy, here we go again. P Corp singularity can be summarized by the following 4 words: expansive space warping technology. Oh, right. Didn't you say that Miss Chisara told you something about how the principle of P Corp singularity is a lot like how La Manchaland works? Right, well, Manchaland was much larger on the inside than it looked from the outside. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask. Don't other wings already make liberal use of different kinds of space expanding singularities? It's, how should I put this? Isn't it a bit too mundane for a city tech for P Corp? This whole space manipulation, its unique thing. That was quite the intelligent question. Compliments, how nice. Ishmael is correct in suggesting that technology to expand a given space is a commonly employed technology by the other wings as well. An example of one such invention making use of this space expansion technology, but isn't a P Corp singularity, would be Mephistopheles. Its ultimate purpose of P Corp's space expansion technology is to create the safest place in the world. A perfectly protected construct, its interior is sheltered from the world outside no matter how severely its exterior is battered, to have a sound structural integrity no matter what, its interior is safe from any and all harm. Therefore, the more expensive the P Corp product is, the safer its interior is from damaging not outside conditions such as extreme pressure or shock. Perhaps the way in which the interior is completely insulated from the outside is comparable to a full disconnect from the outside world by sheltering in a separate dimension. In conclusion, the exterior of this vehicle utilizes P Corp singularity, which means that it can protect us from its interior from all forms of impact. Not to mention that it has enough room to hold more than 13 people inside. Don't dimensional trunks or containers also transport things to other dimensions? Sink, why are you freezing up all of a sudden? There was this creepy story that used to circulate among kids back when I was in school. Here's how it goes. So a Divyat Association employee makes a delivery to a house, then looks away for a second, and a curious kid crawls into their courier trunk and... I'm gonna stop the story here. Look, that story kept me up on night for a whole week, okay? I couldn't stop having nightmares about that scenario where... Hey, come on, sometimes a story's just a story. Not necessarily. Unfortunately, the story that inspired Sinclair's week-long nightmares was most likely an accurate retelling of a true story. Several regulations were added to Hana and Deviat Association's rules to prevent cases of people being stored in dimensional containers. Sorry, ran out of breath there. From a certain perspective, it may be said that the warp technology employed by W Corp shares a degree of similitude. The parallel lies in the fact that it also transports humans to a different dimension, the difference being that they are packaged in a safer manner. Therefore, perhaps enough of a connection exists to say that they operate on the same scale. Anyway, the point is that we'll always have access to the headquarters as long as we have this vehicle thing, right? This will certainly make the logistics of our communication and supply much more convenient. One question, however, how does the company plan to move this instrument, as I expect that would be much trouble on its own? Has that detail been hashed out yet? No. In order to establish a more tangible level of communication with Limbus Company headquarters, an effective means of transportation such as this vehicle will be installed in nests across the city. In summary, an efficient means of transportation such as this vehicle here, developed using P Corp and the Aspirant W Corp technology, will gradually be installed at various points around the city. In every nest! Of course not. The technology is still experimental. It is astronomically expensive to install and operate. Virgilius gave us a firm clarification. Activating now. Faust tinkers with the various machines and contraptions within the vehicle, and the giant door from earlier began to tremble, making a loud noise. Well, wherefore is that gate over yonder shuddering so? Energies now are routing toward that gate. When the gauge displays around the glowing door filled, the door began to slowly open. Entering now. With it fully open, Faust made her way inside like it was just another door. Well, let's follow her inside. There was a bizarre and incomprehensible noise of machines coupled with a low droning noise. Yes, we have arrived. Welcome to Limbus Company headquarters. This place is teeming with people dressed in all sorts of odd outfits walking briskly between their busy schedules. I hear heavy doors opening and closing from here and there, alongside with that odd sensation I've been feeling from time to time. It's the floor of the LCE department. LCE? Hopefully we'll get to proudly stride into the HQ's front gate one day. Okay, next up, Hohenheim.
만곡된 직선을 직선으로 질주하겠어.
You're the guy at the window. Interesting. Right! Are we waiting for something to happen? Or are we all suddenly unfamiliar with the concept of introducing ourselves? Given that no one appears to be willing to introduce me, allow me the liberty of self-introduction. My name is Hohenheim, the chief researcher of this company. Man, he looks like the red man from Portal's twin brother. But I suppose that's putting it kindly. To be precise, he is the chief researcher of the LCE department. To be more precise, I am the chief researcher responsible for the entirety of Limbus Company. Hold on. Got it. To be even more precise, the only reason he retains that role is because Yisang and I have been excluded from the research personnel files due to our statuses as sinners. Oh hey, Persona. Someone must stay behind to continue this research after all. Aha, so you two are friends? While it seems entirely unnecessary to establish a label on this relationship, it could be said that we are acquaintances who routinely and unwillingly maintain a regular level of communication with one another. I am in agreement for the first time since we were acquainted. I hear that our department has reached out several times to yours to remind you of this regular checkup. The nature of the LCB department necessitates that we are constantly on the move from one nest to another, which makes it rather difficult for us to give you an immediate reply. I would have expected someone like you to to already be well aware of this obvious detail. Yes, I am very well aware. I was very well aware. I am also aware of the fact that your department has been giving us that same reply over and over again like an answering machine. And this must be Dante, the executive manager of the Limbus Company Centers. I'd like to say hi, nice to meet you, but I don't suppose he can hear what I'm saying. The manager extends her greetings. Charmed. It is grueling and arduous work to be in a position of leadership, especially when communications come into play. Sometimes I cannot help but wonder if my researchers and I are even speaking the same language. So I do commiserate. Oh, odd. Your codes are... yes. Allow me to introduce you all to Martin and Alyssa, the two of the few researchers directly in my command. Are they wearing gear extracted from abnormalities? But how? Happy to have someone who recognizes them. Are they like gear scavenged from the former L Corp? While there are partial similarities to their gears, enough differences are present to distinguish them. Indeed, we attempted our own brand of extractions. Successfully, I might add. While the news of the productivity of Eagle Gear in Women's Company style was already received, this is the first time they are observed in person. So, you must have abnormalities contained in this facility. So that's why I've been sensing abnormalities in here, huh? But I'm sensing distortions in Pekatula too. Indeed, as they are the containment units for and research subjects for LCE department as well. Voss closely observed the Eagle gear that Hohenheim was wearing like an exceptionally harsh charge in a fashion contest. Apart from a few imperfections in the finish, the level of Eagle extraction visible here is quite acceptable and put appreciated. This is a product of thousands of repeated experiments and subsequent failures that have been meticulously conducted and studied in order to extract it with an acceptable level of stability. But at the end of the day, I did it like I always do. You did it. Are you sure you want to take all the credit when your team is standing right behind you? We're used to it. Oi, piss off! I'm going mad surrounded by these self-absorbed twats. I'm just about ready to get violent on some poor bastard. Let's get on with the checkup so we can get back to the bus, yeah? I feel the very same urgency you express. There is much we must not cover, regrettably, given that this is the first ever regular checkup performed as a group since your employment. Faust also does not wish to pass more time without substance. Let us begin. Very well. Our first task shall be to assess your abilities in response to emergency situations. Wait, he just pressed something. Emergency situations? The walls of the laboratory suddenly started separating and sliding into place. When it settled, I realized that it had locked the sinners away in some kind of hold, isolating them from me, Virgilius, and Charon. What the hell? This is just an ambush! Yes, it is. The purpose of this test is to measure your behaviors in response in case of a surprise attack, so ambush it is. Gino versus Hohenheim's Great Wall. What is it? What's this discussed beforehand, Virgilius? You look anxious, Dante. Well, I suppose you weren't let in on this either. I wasn't, for your information. Just go with your flow, Dante. So it goes would be an apt response. I'll find a room somewhere where Karen and I might sit down and enjoy some nice tea. Come find me with Faust when this is over. Karen wants cake too. Oh hey, we got some leftover cake from our last office party. Come this way, please. An employee appeared and led Virgilius and Karen away into a nearby office room. Okay, so this is the regular checkup, huh? Let's get this done.
고작 이 정도 탕류의 허덕이나. 여러 자리치고
거리면 충분해. 너한텐 조금 멀겠지만.
Note to self, never schedule this at 9 p.m.
일기당천 바람 불어오는 대로 짓밟아라.
Oh, thank God. No soft walk. We went through various tests, including command ability trials using Pekatula in Vidae. Hark, Manager Esquire! Hi ho! I've attained a score most perfect! To be surpassed by Miss Don Quixote in a contest of knowledge. Must I delve further in my studies? Hey, Song, Bud, they were testing our Fixer Association knowledge, huh? Totally. Honestly, she's got enough Fixer fixation for the more than enough Fixer fixation for the entire bus. All kinds of general knowledge, trivia quizzes. What's the first thing you focus on when meeting a new person? The look in their eyes, how strong they look? Bloody hell, this ain't easy. Your leadership style is strong, decisive, and goal-oriented. You armor sold? We were finally allowed a quick break after going through all kinds of mysterious, strange personality tests as well. Next, basic fitness test for all sinners. We can finally get started on the real meat of this checkup. Wait, then what were all those tests you guys were running on us? They were conducted in order to collect various data that the LCBE department has been missing. In other words, we capitalized on this opportunity to fulfill our private curiosities. Still, I'd say it was very productive. We only know a lot about you guys that'll help us support the LCB going forward. Alright, we're gonna go over some tests that can be conducted in groups first. Please form a line here. Wait, like this? Let's get this over with. Looks like we've got a long day ahead of us. Yes! Yes! Wow, these are some comfy clothes that they've given us. Right, I could totally see myself wearing these to sleep. To sleep? They're LCE property, so you better return them as soon as we're done here. Gotcha. By the way, can you take a look at my wrist here before we actually get started? I've been feeling a bit of soreness there, but Dante won't turn the clock just for me, you know. Turning off the clock for such trivialities may cause the formation of an unfavorable habit. Perhaps Mersal can remedy your pain. I am always prepared to administer necessary aid should you request it. Actually, you know what? I'm totally fine now. Don't you worry. Please stand still. If you think I can't see some of you on your tiptoes, you'd be very wrong. Heels on the ground, please. But my heels are on the ground. Fee. And can you stuff out your cigarettes before the test begins? Oh, this one isn't lit. It's just there so I can look cool. And what about bold but scram? Oh, okay. So the basic group tests are complete. I seem to have forgotten something quite important I had to establish prior to beginning these tests in earnest. I need an assistant. An assistant? I need an assistant to help me smooth out the testing procedures. You got two of them already, right behind you if you need directions. Oh, we're not Mr. Hohenheim's assistants. We're specifically assistant researchers. Yes, of course. There is so much that distinguishes these two occupations. I would like for one of you to be my assistant for the duration of this checkup. Roja suddenly raised her hand. I wasn't planning on asking for volunteers, but now that you've raised your hand, I'll give you the floor. Don't ask me how to do it, it's just on my vibes, you know. I'll take a researcher job, though. I'm a big fan of her style. Roja trailed off, greedily caressing the clothes of one of the researchers. What are you doing? I didn't really have you in mind anyway, but duly noted nonetheless. I would also like to refuse your nomination. The position of an assistant to Hohenheim implies that the said assistant is, when it comes to skilled, inferior to the person they are assisting. Again, I didn't have you in mind either, but your passionate expression of intent is nonetheless appreciated. I wonder who came up with this brilliant idea of putting two smartasses together to waste time pointing out each other's minor mistakes. If I were to talk about myself, I want to open by saying that I was the class vice president in school, a diligent model student who assiduously facilitated the tasks of the class president in What's everyone so anxious to getting so anxious to get picked here? Do you fellas actually want to be his assistant? Getting in the front and center of things is just bothersome, you know? I kind of felt like I had to apply for the position for some reason. Well, the decision has already been made. Do note that the selections criteria is fully based on my very subjective opinion. You there, the orange-haired sinner. Ishmael almost threw me to the ground as she confidently strode up to the front of the line. Greetings, Mr. Hohenheim. As you must be aware if you've taken a look at my documents, I rarely let anyone down during my various tenures at offices and associations. You have nothing to worry as long as I'm by your side. Also, can I add this to my resume if I ever get a chance to submit a transfer request to work at the headquarters? Didn't know you were still holding on to that hope. I called on you to ask you to move because you were standing in front of the center I chose. Everyone turned around to look at Heathcliff, who was absent-mindedly scratching at the bridge of his nose. Huh? Me? Huh? Me? It seemed that Ishmael was even more shocked than Heathcliff was. Well, wait, but what? But why? I'm right here. Why would you pick someone like... It is a common misconception among many researchers to assume that the higher their level of education and the more elaborate their resume, the better candidate one makes for a research project participant. But that's just common sense, isn't it? At least when it comes to research. However, were you aware that the most great discoveries are made from a potent mix of spontaneity and intuition? A perfect descriptor of our friend here, I would say. What say you, Heathcliff? I believe that this aggressive and passionate approach of yours gives you more than sufficient qualification to command and lead them in my stead. Is that right? He replied, scratching his head. Be honest now, Yi-sang. You were looking forward to getting picked, weren't ya? It is but fate that things that were once good in the eyes of the mainstream are to be made less desirable with the passage of time. And when one does indeed fall out of favor, the intelligentsia of the bygone days must rightly excuse themselves to the realm of memories and past. Yi-sang replied with a particularly downcast look. I'm glad to have you on board as my new assistant. Righty-ho, so, what have I got to do now? Nothing too complicated. You only need to liberally express your free spirit just as you are now. I now see what he's doing. Hohenheim sure knows which one of the group to coax to make things go over smoothly. Martin whispered quietly at me in a voice that only I could hear. Oh boy. Man, this is a mouthful, Jesus. Heathcliff seemed eager to, as Hohenheim had suggested, express his free spirit to the best of his capabilities. Right, you there, get in line. Single file, lads. Let's make this easy for all of us. But aren't you also participating in the test with the rest of us, Heathcliff? Yeah, but I'm the assistant. Since when do you wear glasses? Jesus Christ. It's the glasses meme. They did the goddamn glasses meme. I gotta take a photo of this. This is priceless. Glasses are basic apparatuses of all researchers. Look, slightly pushing up on the glasses helps to put on the air of a studious, learned individual, like so. Just like how slightly pushing up the frames of my glasses while wondering on what to have for lunch makes it seem as though I am contemplating on the more profound aspects of life. Oh wait, let's not make this any harder than it's gotta be, lass. Stuff out that cig in your mouth. Been a while since I heard a pig squeal. Blimey, can't you just do as I say for once? Huh, he's actually pretty effective. It seems that we are now ready to conduct the tests, finally. The primary purpose of this test is to see on a physical level how your current physical is to see on a physical level how your current abilities scale compared to yourselves before your hiring. I see. So they're trying to see how much they've progressed before they joined the company. I had a feeling this would happen, but the mere mention of the words progression caused a rather loud ruckus among the sinners. If I were to speak for myself, executive manager, I can confidently say that the thought of progressing as a person and in all aspects of life is ingrained into my very being. Thus, as a fruit of those efforts, I have grown to be much more precise and scathing in my critique of others' mistakes. Is that progress, though? Perhaps I have learned to let certain thoughts rest in favor of others. I once allowed myself to be trapped in overlong ruminations on worries of all manners, idly abiding, as I was consumed by my very thoughts. Now, I have come to accept certain things as they are. And I've come to, sometimes, allow my mind to form bereft of rigorous reason, floating away gently as though on a rolling stream. Is that not quite pleasant? Okay, I guess that is progression of sorts. I'm pretty sure I'm less of a picky eater than I used to be. My grip strength is much stronger, too. Look, I think I'm getting calluses on my palms. Well, you don't really have to try to prove it to us, because the enemies we're fighting have been getting stronger, too. That is an undeniable truth. We did experience a pretty spectacular year, you know. A brutal year, yet so potent with significance. True. I guess growth really does come with time, huh? Right? I feel like the bonds between us got a lot deeper. We've all grown closer, you know, like glue. Like glue, huh? I like it. Certain misunderstandings seem to be brewing in tandem with this uplifting exchange of hearts to hearts. Allow me to step in and nip it in the bud. Let me give it to you straight. All of your abilities were diminished the moment you were hired by this company. Equally defanged and depowered as you will. Equally defanged? In other words, all of your abilities have been brought down to the... to the same general level as our 11th sinner here. Why am I your point of reference? If this is what you meant earlier by growing closer with glue, then I suppose it was quite the apt choice of words. Oh wait, take that back! I take it back. So you're not really that much stronger than I am, huh? Wow, Sink. Is that the sound of your sense of self-preservation shattering into the ether? That's it, you bloody Excuse me, I need to know why that I need to know why that happened. Did we all get the power because of the golden bow? Wait, does this have anything to do with those chains that appeared when we first entered into a contract with Dante? Indeed, one of the powers of a golden bow is connection. You're all now fairly, evenly, and equally mediocre. Hohenheim's comment and the subsequent stare at it seemed a bit targeted. Think of it as something akin to Quifot deterrence employed by the Lobotomy Corporation. So the truth is finally revealed. This was why I, Otis, grew so pathetically weak the moment I joined this company. Art thou implying that thou hast always known? Of course! Had I been in my prime, I could have wiped the floor with you miserable doormats in a matter of seconds. You wipe floors with doormats? Man, so we're all so prone to saying whatever once the burden of proof is gone, huh? So that's why my murderous arm has been quiet ever since they hired me. It didn't really have anything to do with my heart after all. Gregor, oi, what's the use of all this chatter? What matters is that we've all been brought down to the level of the lad. But I got calluses on my palms. Yet not all of the golden boat's effects must have been quite the. Yet not all of the golden boat's effects must have been of detriment to us. Yisang started, carefully attempting to navigate through a conversation that happened to be turning into a tinderbox. Was it not the advantages granted to us by the golden bow impaled in the pallid whale of the Great Lake by which we triumphed? What? Really? Correct. Had the pallid whale been at its full strength, it is highly likely that we may still have been trapped inside its stomach, struggling to survive. But it can also be said that the diminishing effect was not applied in equal measure across all affected subjects. Esong is the only one that got buffed by Sinclair. Meanwhile, I'm checking that. My God, one of the chat's friends they're mentioning here is losing their minds over playing Lobotomy LabCorp without a wiki, and he's paying the price for it. As they should. Yi-sung was the only one who got buffed by Sinclair. He was probably very malnourished before then. Huh. That makes sense, I guess. I never could have knocked teeth out with one punch if I was only as strong as Sink. It's a real handy trick, you know? Additionally, certain individual quirks cannot be suppressed by the Golden Bow. Certain quirks that one may consider as being individuals' idiosyncrasies. Oh, so that explains Ryoshi's impressive blade work with Mr. Bumble back at the T-Corp factory. Won't waste my breath boasting. You never do, anyway. Well, if your strengths have indeed progressed since the onboarding, then the average must have risen as well. One of the purposes of these tests is to measure that very difference. So what exactly goes into these tests? I know there's a district that uses a machine that can analyze most aspects of the subject with its quick scan. So is it going to be something like that? There are dozens if not hundreds of ways to determine one's abilities without the assistance of machinery. In fact, I know of a perfectly appropriate methodology for this group. A perfectly appropriate methodology? We spent some time out of our busy schedules to tailor each test for each center of the LCB. That was pretty tough, I'll have you guys know. Tailored tests for each center, huh? I don't like the sound of that if you ask me. We will utilize the Pectula in the distortion phenomenon. Huh? That doesn't sound much like some super innovative method you were building up to. What a letdown. Right? Honestly, for all that talk, I thought they'd come up with something more impressive than that. Assistant. Alright, that's enough chatter! Now get in there! Jesus Christ, everyone pushing up their glasses. Anyways, meaningless rat. Ah, fuck. Okay. Let's work with some basics here. Okay, let's see. First one on the box. Cliff had already begun flipping through the papers in his hands. What an unfamiliar sight. Right, you and you there, inside, now! Heathcliff, the assistant, pointed toward Hongwoo and Sinclair. Hey, well, 1-2, testing. Am I coming through? As you must be well aware by now, the Pecatula are entities that have failed to even distort. It seems that we'll be fighting the Pecatula again. Oh, right, I have a question. It's something that's been nagging at me the whole time since I arrived. Aren't these tests basically just us killing people for no reason? They're all safely contained, which means that they don't pose any danger to anyone. Why is he being such a bleeding heart all of a sudden? Oh, wait, we've been slaughtering countless scores of those sods, so what's the hold up now? Yeah, but we didn't have any choice back then because we were on a mission, and do you believe that taking a life to live is unlike taking a life for the sake of it? I do. I understand. It seems that human memory is, after all, made to be finite. Save for a few exceptional individuals, people are prone to misplacing memories even from yesterday. So, who are they, Dante? Who do you believe they are, this group you lead? Given that the expected communication difficulties between us, allow me to make this a multiple choice question. 1 family, 2 friends, 3 colleagues. I guess they're closest to colleagues? Dante says 3 colleagues. Hongwoo was practically squished against the containment unit window, holding up 3 of his fingers. He must have heard us talking. Incorrect. It's none of the above. The truth is that they are sinners, not family, nor friends, not colleagues, prisoners. I know. But the knowledge of something and the acceptance of it must be distinguished. I learned that people are prone to forgetting their places when the going gets easy, when life becomes comfortable enough for them to consider the luxury of timely meals to be a certainty. Thus, I find these reminders to be quite useful. These sinners, bound to Limbus Company, are still fettered by their chains and shackles. Naturally, they have no access to such a thing as the right to refuse. Or would it be easier for you to accept that fact if I were to suggest that you consider this but a mere extension of your responsibilities? I know they're sinners, but you can't talk to them like... translations are unnecessary. I think I get the picture of what was said, given the atmosphere of this room. Dante, when you agreed to the contract, you must have made a deal of sorts to gain something to your benefit. Am I correct? Your memories, your head, and your past. There must be so much that you would like to know, and perhaps your desire to get them back is what stops you from simply quitting. What I mean to say is, with this little demonstration is that no one in this room has any right to grumble or refuse. Faust, is he usually? Yes, this is his usual demeanor. Well, I'm not the only one to talk, but you don't exactly have a lot of friends, do you? Those who rise above their peers tend to attract a certain degree of hostility from others. Now, shall we begin? We are severely behind schedule. While the combats will do what they do, please pay attention to the following presentation about the Pekatua projected onto this glass panel. This lecture has been prepared with the assumption that its students have an average level of knowledge. So, if you consider this presentation to be too boring or too difficult to understand, then you may consider your knowledge level to be below average. Way to rub it in, pal. Way to rub it in. All this material seems quite elementary to me. Not sure what's so difficult about this. Yeah, save that for when the lecture actually starts. As you must already know, there are 7 categories of Pekatua. As far as I'm aware, the highest stage of Pekatua you observed was in stage 3, so far at least. Wherefore didst thou utter a little muttering of "so far at least" at the end of those 9 words, good sir? Sharp. Well, it's simple. We researchers have a habit of avoiding ambushes in old things. Never say never, so they say. So you're not ruling out the possibility that we might be running into Pekatua beyond stage 3, huh? Indeed, we prefer not to put down such arbitrary limitations. Anyway, the first type of Pekatua to be covered today is Pekatua Aire, Red Pekatulum of Rat. The nature of the fire is to burn and burn until there's nothing left to be burned. I see, they're quite literally burning with rage. Now that I think back on it, didn't you express something like that before, Sinclair? I remember you screaming so fiercely that you couldn't hardly control your own body. On the other hand, I don't think I've ever seen you get angry or upset, Hongwu. Aha, that's because the realization of meaninglessness extinguishes the reason for the spark to start a fire. Oh, I see now. No matter how much Heathcliff or Miss Otis bully me, expressing my anger at that is meaningless at the end of the day. Okay, I did enjoy it a little when I had to accidentally step on Heathcliff's toes, but what exactly is the takeaway supposed to be here? Yes, that is exactly how it is.
짐승들의 재갈을 풀겠다. 혈염도 바로. 무아타라. 죽었네. 다음은 어디로? 어디로? 친히 목을 떨궈주마. 고작 이 정도 탕류의 허덕이나. 친히 목을 떨궈주마. 고작 이 정도 탕류의 허덕이나. 짐승들의 재갈을 풀겠다. 닭은 달려들어라. 저 혈염도 바로 고려내라. 날개를 펼치고 발톱을 걸어. 짐승들의 재갈을 풀겠다. 넌 푸름을 틔울 수도 없겠구나. 짐승들의 재갈을 풀겠다. 넌 푸름을 틔울 수도 없겠구나.
Hey, that's a chunky boy.
짐승들의 재갈을 풀겠다. 고작 이 정도 탕류의 허덕이나 닭은 달려들어라. 저 혈엽도 바로 고려내라. 유여 기대어라. 죽었네. 다음은 어디로? 또 한 줄 길을 담겼군.
Brick saying Gino tapped into that sleep funk but before the stream.
세월이 지나면 홍호는 그제야 알게 되겠지. 이 홍로가 무얼
Hold on.
받고 지를.
Give me a minute. Sorry to wrap this up early. I think it's starting to get late for me, and I'm getting really tired at the moment. I will follow this up and conclude this tomorrow. Then I am going to host a back-to-back for Night in the Back Streets. So keep an eye out for those. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware, Brick. Alright. Night, guys. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.